Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Teen Talk Live. I am your host, Ann Dillard. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, and I am here with you tonight with my special guest. In just a second, I'll introduce her to you. I'm just going to make sure that you can hear me. And family therapist. Okay, so we got the sound going, and I'm so glad that you are here with us tonight. And we're getting likes already. Okay, we've got a really great topic, and I have a really great guest, Miss Alisha Curry. Is here, and she is a licensed professional counselor, and we are representing Atlanta tonight. Welcome, Alicia.
Thank you for having me. I'm so glad to be here.
Absolutely. And I forgot your full name. I meant to say Alisha Curry Walker, everybody.
That's right. I think my husband appreciates the Walker.
Yes, my bad. I'm so glad that you are here with me tonight. And tonight we're talking about a really important topic as the kids get ready to go back. A lot of people are going back from spring break.
Right.
Having worked in the schools for over 20 years, what I notice is that after spring break, it's kind of a uphill battle for students to get back into the groove and just kind of finish strong. So tonight we're sharing with our audience 5 tips for helping your students stay motivated and finishing strong. Okay. And so would you tell our audience tonight, how do you serve in the world?
So I serve in the world by working with women, high achieving teens and their moms in particular, educators who are dealing with the stress and maybe burnout from being educators. And so those are some of the people that I work with and that I serve in the world. But I am especially excited tonight to talk to you about how we can help keep the young people motivated to stay on track for the rest of the year.
Awesome. And just to my guests, if you're joining us here tonight, this is a really important topic. I want you to share this out with your audience so people can enjoy it with you. We're going to be sharing some resources. And if you're here, just say hi. Or if you're joining us on the replay, say hi. Let me know that you're joining us and tell us where you're joining us from. We've got a really wide audience. And this, again, tonight on Teen Talk Live, we are talking about ways to keep our teenagers motivated to finish strong this school year. And so, Ms. Walker, tell us what's one way, how do we start? Where do we start?
So one way I like to think about it from my history and working with teens who have possibly had some behavioral issues to teens who are considered the high achieving teens. I like to work with the parents in conjunction with them to provide a support system for them and to really pay attention to the way that they support their young person, because sometimes the words that we speak are more detrimental than what someone else could say. So really listening to them, communicating with them, and discussing with them about what it is that they're looking forward to, what it is that they want to achieve, and helping support them in that way to keep them motivated to finish strong.
I think that's so important. And one of the populations that you talk about is the high achieving teens. And I think that we have a tendency to kind of overlook that sector of teens sometimes, because when I talk to parents, sometimes I hear them say, oh, they've got it. They're so good. They get their homework done. They do what they're supposed to do.
Right.
And I think we minimize the level of stress, or I don't know, you can speak better to that. What would you say about that population in particular?
That population deals with high amounts of stress because the process to get into college is so competitive now. You have to take so many different classes, AP classes, all of that. And it's a really strenuous process, and it causes a lot of stress, anxiety, and even depression. So it's important that parents, if they notice something different about their teen and that something is going on with them, that they check in with them and don't, settle for the usual answer. I'm good. I'm okay. And how was your day? It was good. It was fine. Probe a little bit more, not in a way that, can irritate your teen, but having real conversations with them about how their day was, what they enjoyed most, what they liked the least, and pay attention to see if you notice any patterns of differences in their behavior, in their mood. And some of it is just teen moodiness, but parents and mothers in particular are very intuitive. So listen to your gut.
I think that's really important because as a mother, I know that it was easier for me to say, to just kind of brush it off and say, oh, they're doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Right.
And I like the point that you're saying to pay attention and watch for changes in patterns, because those things tell us a lot. And sometimes as parents, especially if this is our first child, we don't necessarily know what to look for.
Right.
Because, parents don't necessarily have child development classes
right.
that we've taken. So that is really, really good advice to pay attention.
And I think even for some of us that have had child development classes, looking for that in your own child sometimes can be difficult. So even for those of us who are, in the field, paying attention to your child to see differences that you might notice.
Right. That is so key. I'm just going to take a moment to welcome our guests. Hey, Shayna, welcome. Hi, Vanessa and Jackie. Thank you for being here. Hey, Miss Natalie, I'm glad you're here. Amani, I'm so glad you're here. And Daryl, thank you for joining us. Tonight on Teen Talk Live, we are talking about 5 tips to help your team stay motivated, stay engaged at the end of the school year and finish strong. That is so important. Miss Alisha, I'm thinking about seniors, for example, with a whole host of senior activities coming up. I mean, I don't even know how I got through senior year. And I'm watching my niece now going through senior year with, her final games, sports that she's playing, all these banquets and senior ditch day and all this all the stuff that's going on. What can we tell our teens to do to stay in the race in spite of all those things that's going on?
It's funny that you mentioned senior year in particular, because my oldest daughter is a freshman in college right now. So I just went through this with my own daughter last year. And some of the conversations I had with her, some of her friends, and some of my clients that are going through it is basically focus on what you're trying to accomplish, the end goal. Enjoy the time that you have there, though, because sometimes they can be so focused on the next stage that they don't enjoy what's happening next. And because it's so much that they kind of move or zoom through it. So appreciating those moments, savoring those last moments, because it is going to be a hard transition from high school to college, no matter what level you're coming from or going to. And it's important to, connect with the people that you're with and be present, be fully present. You can take those moments for granted and move too fast beyond them and wish you had taken the time to really enjoy them and appreciate them. So some things that I share is to be fully present, enjoy the moment while you're focusing on your future, because you can't let the grades lapse. They've, just had decisions, how much financial aid. So if you drop in this last, quarter, you could jeopardize your scholarship or your admission into the school. So keep your eye on the prize, but also be present in the moment so that you can create and enjoy the memories that you are making.
That is so good, because a lot of times there are students who believe that because we already got our acceptance letters, because, you know, have already made that decision, and we've got scholarships, they think that, you know what, it's not that important. And
Right.
then they'll let things slack off
Right.
on the fourth, what is that, quarter.
Yes.
And I think that's really good advice. Let me just pause for a second to say, hey, welcome to Benjamin. And yes, Miss Natalie, senioritis is so huge. And, you know, we see that with our girls all the time. And this is a critical time, very critical time for us as parents to press in a little more and not let up ourselves. Because I remember, even though my children were away at school, as a parent, after they got accepted and things like that, I was like, it was such a load off that I think it's easy to check out as parents.
It is very easy to check out as parents because, you know, you are putting just as much pressure on yourself as your young person is putting on themselves, or you're putting on them. And something that I impress upon the moms in particular is that this child is just one portion, you know, of your life, and you have another life. And some women even go down into depression themselves once the child has gone away from school because that child was their world. And so it's important to have a balance. It's important to you as well appreciate this time that you'll have with your young person before they go off to school, but realizing at the end of the day, it is their life and not yours.
Wow, that's good stuff. that is good stuff. But Miss Alisha, it is their life. But if I don't get them ready and get them into college, I might have them for the rest of their life.
I think that you can't start that journey in the last quarter of senior year. And too many young people go away to college not prepared socially to handle it. They're not prepared to take care of themselves. They don't know how to wash their own clothes. They don't know how to navigate a map. They don't know how to ask a teacher, you know, for help. They don't know how to ask for tutoring because that parent has been there the entire time, stepping in and taking over. So this might be the time for you to kind of, as my husband would say, ease your hand out of the lion's mouth and let them have more responsibilities so you're not panicking when they leave. I think a part of that last statement you made is out of panic from not feeling like you've prepared them well enough to handle being in college.
So again, it has more to do with us as the parent rather than their child.
Yes. When you're talking about them going away and making sure that they're prepared, if you've been preparing them all along, yes, you'll be sad. Yes, you'll have those moments. I had those moments. My oldest daughter was in boarding school, so she was away for 4 years prior to going to college. So I was used to her being gone and coming home and going away and coming back. But something hit me in that senior year, just like everybody else, realizing that my baby is going to be an adult and I won't have as much access or the same access. And I had some, you know, crying like in a puddle moments, just like everybody else. But I knew she was ready. I knew she was prepared. And so that part gave me peace, you know, over the situation.
Wow, that's so awesome. And Shayna says that's a hard pill to swallow. And yes, it is. I know she just had an 18-year-old, so I can just imagine what's going on in the Meriwether household just about now. But so back to our tips, and I know we talked a bit about seniors, but I'm also thinking about, you know, the 8th grader who might have said, you know what, middle school is a wash. my grades, they don't start counting until I get to high school. Let me just ride out this last quarter and then start over when I go to high school. What can you say to them and their parents?
Well, I won't say that middle school is a wash because the high schools do get a report of your record. But what I can say is at every stage of your life, no matter what it is, you have an opportunity for a do-over. And freshman year of high school is definitely a great place to start, a fresh start. Nobody knows you. Maybe a handful of kids from your previous school, maybe not, but you have an opportunity to be somebody new, to have something new. And it's important for parents not to remind their kids of what they didn't do before. Because again, our words have a lot of power and we need to speak more positivity and less negativity into our children so that they can see that they have the ability to move forward and that you're helping them create this vision of this new person, this new thing that they want. And it's hard if you're trying to improve, but your support system is telling you that you can't.
Right. And reminding you of all the mistakes that you made,
right,
how you didn't do it right.
Right. Nobody likes to be reminded of their falls and their missteps. Everybody wants a second chance. Give your child that second chance.
So would it be fair to say, as we go into this last quarter of the school year, to give for parents to also, one of the tips would be to give your child a second chance and don't keep bringing up, what has happened the beginning of the school year?
I think it's extremely important to give your child a second chance. Everybody makes mistakes. Nobody is perfect. Something that I share personally with my own children is we do expect excellence, but nobody's perfect. If you do your best and the grade that you come out with is a C or a D, then you tried your best.
Exactly.
But don't tell me that you tried your best and you got the C or D, and we both know you can do better.
Right. Right. So the bottom line is, what kind of effort are you putting in?
Right. They have to put in effort, and so do you. And so that's why I think it's important for parents and their teens and young people to have conversations about what's working and what's not working. And sometimes we have to be ready to pivot. Sometimes what we thought was working doesn't work, especially if you have more than one child. Each child is different. You can't parent each child the same. They're totally different people, and the way you parented one can't be the way you parent the other, because they will buck against it. They'll know that, oh, this is how you treated the other child, so that's how you're treating me. But in actuality, it doesn't work for them. And that may be why you're having a struggle with them.
That is that is such a good tip. And Shayna said, love this tip. Hey, Mika, I'm so glad you're joining us tonight. We're talking about 5 tips to help your teenager finish strong. We're talking about finishing the school year, with us being in the 4th quarter of the school year. And tonight I have the honor and the pleasure of having Miss Alisha Curry Walker here with me, who is just giving some excellent information. So, okay, so now what else? What can we tell? I have a lot of educators watching. What can we tell educators? Because sometimes that's, well, I won't say much more. What can we tell educators?
I can tell them to finish strong as well. And some of that comes with, well, a lot of that comes with self-care. Educators, just like parents, give so much of themselves. Yes. And at this time of year, they are tired. They're ready for the kids to go home. They're ready for the parents to go home. And if you come with one more parent-teacher conference, I might have to quit. Oh. I get it. But it's important to take care of yourself. And that also means your own personal emotional and mental health. I don't think enough people talk about the emotional and mental health of educators. And a lot of educators are walking around with anxiety and depression themselves, because there's a lot of pressure on the educators to ensure that the kids pass this test, that they're doing what they're supposed to do, meeting benchmarks.
Yes.
And it's a lot of pressure. And if you don't find a way to release that pressure, it can cause you to crack under it. And that's no place to be. So for educators, for you to finish strong, I would say definitely look into what you can do to take care of yourself, even if that means talking to a mental health provider.
That is so key. I have an affinity for educators because having worked in the schools for over 20 years, and not only that, our daughter is an educator. And she's wrapping up her 5th year as a kindergarten teacher. So I get to see some of the stuff firsthand of what she goes through, and from her perspective. And it's not easy.
No.
And educators, they are, sometimes they have that difficult child that they've been dealing with all year. And sometimes they measure their failure and their success and their value.
Yes.
Against their ability to turn that child around.
Right.
And that's so hard.
It is very hard. But something I want to impress upon educators is you are getting the end result of what's happening in the home.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes there isn't a focus on the social emotional part of it for children, and in particular, the possibility of there being trauma in the home. So it's important that you aren't the end all be all. You don't have to have all the answers. Seek support when necessary. Take care of yourself in the meantime, and provide as much support as you can for that young person.
I think that's so key. And that's really good stuff. And the only thing I would add to that, because you talked about self-care, is to stay in your lane. Because, I've seen too many educators try to step in and be mental health providers for their students, know when to pass it off.
Yes.
To the professional.
Yes. That's important. And I think for someone who provides services in the schools, that is a great opportunity to educate the schools on when it is appropriate to pass it off, when it is appropriate to refer to somebody else who can handle it. I've seen too many times where educators feel like they have to be teacher, mom, social worker, dad, all wrapped up in one. But there comes a point where whatever's going on with that child is too much for you to handle in your role as a teacher, and it's time to pass it off to the mental health professional.
That is so true. And I'm going to go back here, and Miss Mika was saying she was just talking to her son about this today and how fast the school year is going.
Yes.
And Shayna says, speaking of what's not working, how can we bring awareness to our young people about unproductive friendships?
Ooh.
Whoa. That's a big one.
That's a loaded question. Well, I think it depends on the relationship that you have. Is this from a parent or an educator perspective?
Right. And I think she's both.
Okay. I think it depends on the relationship you have with the young person. You can't just come out with, stop hanging out with that kid because I think he's, a bad influence. That's not going to work. But kind of coming at it from the backdoor angle of, how's it going? How are things with you and your peers? Who do you consider like maybe one of your best friends? What is it you like about them? The person that you may know that they used to hang out with all the time. Why don't you hang out with them anymore? What's different about them? Why don't you like to hang out with them anymore? And if you can compare and contrast the two and help them come up with the reasons why it might not be the best option. Because if it's your idea, they're going to buck against it. But if it's their idea, it's totally different.
So taking them the back way to awareness.
Yes.
I think that's so important. That's so important. And Jamina said Jamina is a social worker at an alternative school, and she said, yes, great, great. Stay in your lane.
Alternative schools are hard because you're getting the kids that everybody else has kind of put aside. But I did some work earlier in the year at an alternative school, and they are doing an awesome job. I can't remember the name of it, but they're doing an awesome job because they are staying in their lane for one, but they
Right.
are very supportive of their teachers from the administration down, which is important.
Mm-hmm.
And then they do a great job of providing self-care at the school and professional development for the teachers.
Right. You know what? I'm going to piggyback to teachers a little bit. And when we're thinking about them finishing the last quarter, see, what a lot of people might not understand is that at this point of the year, most teachers are finding out if their contract is being renewed
Yes. Yes.
for next year.
Yes.
So imagine a teacher whose contract was not renewed,
Right.
and he or she has to go back in the classroom and teach.
Yes. That is so hard. I mean, I can't imagine that because I haven't been in the position of being a teacher. But what I can say is that is why it's so important not to, just as a parent, not to put all of your focus and hope on this role or that student, because at the end of the day, you have no control over others' decisions. All you can do is the best job that you can do. And even at the end of it, if they've decided not to renew your contract, have your moment, have your time to cry, to go and, cuss that person out in your head, whatever you need to do.
Or go to therapy, right?
Say it again.
Or go to therapy.
Yes. And then come back and provide the best possible care you can for the students, because they aren't the ones who fired you. They aren't the ones who kicked you out. And then get the support you need, whether that's your friends, family, and even therapy.
So that's a really a good plug for the teachers to also finish strong.
Yes. Yes.
So what I'm hearing and what we're talking about is, for one of the ways to support our students in finishing strong is for us as parents and as educators to show up also and finish strong.
Yes, because they're watching us. Something that I've used as something when I talk to parents is our young people, our children are like paparazzi. They're always watching you. They hear what you say, but they watch what you do. And they react and respond to what you do more than what you say. So it's important that if you want them to finish strong, you have to as well.
That is so true. So true. So I'm so glad we have our guests here still hanging in here with us. And you all, please share this out, because this is really good information that Miss Alisha is sharing with us tonight. And if you have any more questions as we get to the point where we're going to start wrapping up, drop them in the comment bar. And even if you're on the replay, drop your questions in. We'll circle back around and be sure to answer them, because this is such an important topic of finishing strong. This could make or break a person, this period of time from April through June.
Yes.
It's one of the most stressful period of the school year.
Yes.
So, Alisha, what's one more thing that you can share with our audience about finishing strong?
One thing that I like to share with parents and teens is think about, again, the end goal and what is your vision for your future, whatever that looks like, and how you can best prepare for it. So yourself in 5 years from now, when you finished high school, if you're a senior and you've possibly finished college, how do you want that to look? And then how are your choices and actions today going to impact that vision?
That is so key. So staying present, but catching a glimpse and writing your future.
Yes.
What do you want it to look like?
Yes.
And I think that's really key for parents too, as we look at our relationship with our children as they're going through this trying time or this stressful time,
Yeah.
when it's all said and done, what do I want my relationship with my child to look like?
Yes. Because this is just one time period in your life with your child. This is one slice, one section. And it can be a lot harder or it can be a little bit easier. And some of it really is on the shoulders of the parents to pivot when the time comes to pivot.
I love the concept of pivoting. I got to steal that one. I love it. Pivot. If it's not working, pivot.
Yes.
I like that. Mika says it's, time to make summer plans. What are your suggestions about tips for prepping for summer? And just so you know, that's one of the resources that we're going to share in one of our Teen Talk Live this month. It's April, and it's April for me is Teen Support Month. So supporting them in job efforts, supporting them in tips for summer jobs and things like that. But what could you tell her about preparing? I think her son might be in the 3rd grade, about preparing for the summer.
So 3rd grade is a little younger than a teen, but some of the same tips still apply. Is, paying attention to the things that they're interested in and involving them in those activities, even if it's something that you have to create for them at home. Involving them in those activities, and then look into your own personal village. Sometimes we look outside of our own village for a camp or a summer job or a internship or something that they can do. But oftentimes there are people in our village who are willing to provide support and opportunities for our young people to see what they do, mirror them, or even involve them in something as far as, volunteering. Somebody as young as 3rd grade could still volunteer at, a family friend's business. Let's say that kid is interested in science, STEM. I love STEM. I push that everywhere. If they're interested in STEM and they have a family friend who maybe is a doctor, maybe it's something that kid could do at that person's doctor's office to volunteer. Just something for them to be able to see what their future could look like if this is something that they were really interested in, making it more tangible and connecting, the far out there to something more present for them.
I love it. I love it. And I love the idea also of planning the summer activities with your child, because sometimes as parents, we'll pack the schedule, and realizing that this is to allow the child as much as you can some time to just have some downtime.
Yes, let them be kids. Let them be kids.
So important. And let's see, Benjamin says, how important is high school selection based on where your child desires to go for college?
That is a tough question. I think that high school choice for a young person really depends on them and what they can handle academically. So I think I shared earlier in our conversation that my oldest daughter went to boarding school. That's not an option for everybody's child, but it was definitely an option for us. And it's something that, when we volunteer for her school and helping them get the word out, we share with people that even if you don't want your child to do boarding school, you have no clue about what it is, investigate, look at it, and even think about it for a possibility of a summer. So boarding school in high school is 9th through 12th grade for the most part. But there are opportunities for young people to go for the summer at boarding schools for a 1 week, 2 week, or 3 week process.
I think that's a great opportunity. And we have to talk offline because my 3 children went to boarding school.
Oh.
So all 3 of them were gone 4 years before college.
Wow.
And I don't see that much in our community. And
right.
So it would be really nice to connect with you about that.
Okay.
And Mika says, yes, we are STEAM. So that's good advice to shadow or have some kind of mentorship opportunities. And I know we're talking about the planning for summer. is to find a way to keep some academic engagement
Yes.
up. And because what happens is the kids, they lose so much. And I think they digress at least 2 grade levels when they go back to school if they have not stayed engaged over the summer.
Right.
Yeah.
It's definitely important to have some academic, some fun, a good mix. But so many of our kids are pushed to the limit during the school year that
Yes,
it's also important to give them that downtime to just be kids and rest.
absolutely. And then the last thing I'll say on that summer planning thing is I would say don't wait till the week before school starts to start instituting a decent bedtime.
Yes. Yes.
It's just horrible for the child.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
know, start it earlier.
Yeah.
At least throughout the summer, have some structure around bedtime.
Yes. True.
Doesn't have to be every night, but some structure.
Yes.
Well, we're coming to the end of our show, and I'm so glad you're here with me, Miss Alisha, to talk about how to keep our teens motivated, which we ended up talking about how to keep our educators motivated as well to make it through the end of the school year and to finish strong. I'm
Yes.
so grateful for our audience who have been engaged. We've got lots of love, lots of likes, lots of thumbs up, lots of everything going on. And this has been really wonderful. To my guests, I just want to invite you to share this out so that other people can benefit from this really good information. And Ms. Alisha, how can people find you in the world?
So they can go to my website, alishacurrywalker.com, ALISHACurrywalker.com. And I am on Facebook as Alisha C. Walker, LPC.
Awesome. And I know that you have a book. It doesn't have to do with teens or youth, but tell us about your book.
Well, the book is something that I wrote. It's going on, I think, 4 years now that I wrote with my husband called I Love Being Married, A Guide to Divorce-Proof Your Marriage. And it's full of tips, practical stories, and advice on how to have a good marriage, a great marriage, a loving, and a sensuous marriage.
Oh, that sounds really exciting. You know, happy parents make happy kids.
Yes, but something I did want to share that I'm actually doing at the moment is I'm providing a course for women who are suffering, let's say, from the strong Black woman syndrome or the superwoman syndrome. So that can also be found on my Facebook page, and it's releasestrongblackwoman.com. And I'd love to see some of these people on that course as well.
Excellent, excellent. Would you, when we're done, drop your contact information and a link to your course and to your book and whatever else you want to share with us in the comment section?
I sure will. Thank you so much for having me. I enjoyed it.
This was so good. I'm so glad that you took the time to be here with me tonight. And I just want you to leave our audience with one final nugget.
I think the final nugget that I would give is give yourself as a parent some grace, give your child some grace, and as an educator, give yourself some grace as well. Everybody is under pressure, under stress to exceed, excel, and succeed. And it's hard when you're looking at everyone else on social media putting out the best of themselves. Give yourself grace that is not always the true life story of what goes on for them, and what you have going on in your life is okay.
Wow. What a great gift. Grace is such an amazing gift. And I love such an excellent way to end our show tonight. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you to my guest, Miss Alisha Curry Walker, for being here. And again, this has been Ann Dillard with Teen Talk Live, where we are transforming the lives and minds of teens and those who love them. Tune in next week for another topic. Thank you, Shayna. Yes, I'm so glad you're able to join us. Thank you guys. Have a wonderful night.